Hey everybody, front squat day. Just want to talk a little bit about one of the most common things we hear from our athletes about front squats, which is I can't get my bar into the proper front rack position because I lack wrist mobility. That's the common thing that people say. It hurts my wrists. My wrists don't let me do it. So first of all, let's talk about it. Number one, ideally we are in a relatively full grip position with the elbows up. This is challenging for a lot of people to do. And so one of the first things that you can do to help people get into a proper front rack position and reduce pressure on the wrist is just release the bar out to these finger pads, right? So if you just look, like, it's okay to squat with just a couple finger pads on the barbell. And one of the things that you can do is if you just put your arms out, you can see that the bar just sits on the shoulder shelf. It's not actually resting in my hands or on my wrist. The hands just sort of keep it positioned properly. All the same, you're going to hear people say that they can't get into that position. So one of the tests that you can use just to kind of demonstrate your point is to have your class get down into a high plank, all right, and then shift forward just a little bit. And if you look closely at my wrist, and Deb, if you look closely at my wrist right there, you look at the angle of the forearm to the hand, and then you look back at this front rack position with elbows fully up. You're not asking your athletes to get into any more of a wrist extension position here than you would be in a high plank position. And so I think sometimes the psychology can be very helpful just to get people down there, show them that in fact they do have the wrist mobility. The challenge is then about getting the elbows elevated to take the pressure off the wrists. And oftentimes that requires athletes to let the bar just sit on the shoulder shelf and just be guided with these finger pads and nothing else. So when you run into people who say, hey, I cannot front squat, I need to do this, right? This is a common thing, I wanna do this. At least help walk them through that process so that they understand that they probably could do more of a front rack than they think. There you go.